Okay, so this is my second Patreon request. This is for Gunnel Gainey Jr. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Um, I don't think I've ever talked to this guy. He might have left me some comments on my videos. He's obviously a fan. He just sent me a quick message on my Patreon. He's in the Dirk Diggler tier. He said, hey, Dawn of the Dead remake, unrated version. And I said, okay, man. So I watched this the other day and I watched the commentary with it. This was a big deal when this movie came out. It came out 2004, the summer. I was going into 7th grade, and I grew up with the Dawn of the Dead, the original. My uncle bought me the VHS when I was in 2nd grade, and so this was a big deal for me, and I was really excited. This is a year after the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, and I love that movie. That's a great fucking movie. After the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, all these remakes are coming out of classic horror movies, and there's some hit or misses ones, but like within these 2 years, there was also the Hills of Eyes remake, and then there's the House of Wax and When a Stranger Calls, and what else? And then Rob Zombie's Halloween. When I was in 10th grade. Man, that came out the first week of 10th grade. I saw them all in theaters, but this is the only one that I saw 3 times in theaters. I remember there was a $3 theater called the Foothill Cinema in my hometown of Azusa, and I just kept going back. This was the first time I ever went to see a movie more than once in theaters. I was obsessed. It blew me away. I thought it was one of the funnest theater experiences of my life, and I just kept going and going. It was one of those. I remember hearing Peter Jackson talk about when he first saw the original Dawn of the Dead, and he said it was a movie that I just had to go back to the theater the next day to watch it again. And that's exactly how I was with this movie, this remake. God, there were so many great moments. I remember being like, certain scenes. I specifically remember certain scenes I was just like, and it was so badass and so much fun. And I remember I went with my cousins one of the viewings, and my uncle Carlos, who's a great guy, but he's very picky on movies. And I would always ask people, what was your favorite part of the movie? And I remember him saying the ending, because it was finally over. I was just like, what? How could anybody not think this is the coolest fucking thing you've ever seen in theaters? Okay, but I think he was like half joking. He's not a horror guy, but he's really picky when it comes to movies. I have some problems with this movie. I don't think this is a perfect movie. There's very few movies that are fairly perfect, but when I was rewatching this movie the other day, there were some things that I thought about. I was like, okay, it's not as great as I remember, but it's still a really fun, badass movie. And so like the message from Gunnel, hope I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry, man, if I'm not. He's made sure to put unrated director's cut, or maybe just unrated. But okay, so I said, pay attention for unrated stuff. And I haven't seen this movie for years, but I had it on Blu-ray, the unrated. And there was a couple scenes. There's a sex scene in the beginning with Sarah Pauli's character and her husband or boyfriend. And I don't remember seeing that. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's the unrated version. Just like you see them in the shower, you don't see any real nudity, just their shape. And Sarah Pauli, she's do you guys remember that movie Go? She was in that movie Go with directed by Doug Liman. Fuck, dude, I grew up on that movie, man. I love Go so much, man. If you guys haven't seen that movie, go watch it. So when anytime I see her, I just think of Go because I love that movie. But okay, so and then they show her later, like way later in the movie, her making out with Michael. I can't remember where they're at, but I don't remember seeing that in the original cut. Because I used to watch this movie a lot. I saw it 3 times in theaters, but that was 7th grade. And I had it on DVD as a kid. This is only the second time I've ever watched it on Blu-ray. So I could be wrong, but I don't remember that. I feel like that's part of the unrated version. And then it jumps in the middle of a scene where the gay guy is explaining to the security guards, CJ and then Bart, that he's found out when he was gay, and they're just like, oh my god, this is torture, leave us alone. And it just cuts right in the middle of the scene. It's very quick. It feels like they just abruptly cut into it. Way too short, or just abruptly. And it just felt uneven, so I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong on all of this, but I feel like this is the unrated. This is the stuff I don't remember about the movie, so I'm assuming it's from the unrated version. And I want to talk about unrated versions. When DVDs were coming out, this is like the first 10 years of DVDs, yeah, around there. So there's special features and unrated director's cuts. And I remember with especially these horror movies, I remember especially Hostel, it was like unrated, like the stuff you couldn't see in theaters, and you were like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna buy this the first day on DVD. I would have bought all these movies without the unrated whatever. But then when you watch it, you're just like, you're expecting all this amount insane more violence and gore and blood and kills and death, and maybe they sliced in some extra images of death. Maybe it's probably a few sliced in moments, but nothing I could tell. Like, I couldn't see anything. And I think there was kind of a cock tease when they did that with DVDs just to get you in. And it's like, you had me. The movie's great. I'm going to buy it anyway. Just, I guess you have to call it unrated because the MPAA didn't watch it. So it's not approved by the Motion Picture Association of America. So it is technically unrated. But it doesn't, like, them making out, it's not going to give them an NC-17 rating or whatever, or kissing through the shower, whatever. Him talking about being gay, I don't know, it's not going to get it. It's not explicit. Maybe there is violence, but I couldn't tell. The movie is a very violent, action-packed movie. Zack Snyder, this is his directorial debut. Man, he came out with a bang. This is a great first movie. He directed a lot of music videos. I know he directed one for Morrissey before this. I was looking at his IMDb, and then like one more band that I really knew. But that's cool, Morrissey. And then this was written by James Gunn. James Gunn, before this, he had written the screenplay for Scooby-Doo, which I also saw in theaters and with Matthew Lillard. And then he wrote this, and he's the guy who wrote and directed Slither, which is that was a big deal when that movie came out. That was like, when I saw that in 8th grade, I was so pumped. And I like Slither a lot. I think it's doesn't get the love that it deserves. But then James Gunn directed Guardians of the Galaxy, right? And then he's probably directed more. I know he produced that movie, The Belko Experiment, which was okay. And but then Zack Snyder, man, and then he did 300 and the Watchmen and Sucker Punch and Justice League and Batman versus Superman. And you could tell seeing this movie that he is an action director. Like, the action is great in this movie, but sometimes kind of gets on my nerves. Like, there's so many shots of close-up shots of the guns and then slow motion shots of the bullets falling down to the ground. It's like, okay, we get it. Like, I don't need to see the bullets falling down to the ground. I don't know why it was bugging me this much. It was like, okay, yeah, like, we get it. Bullets go down on the ground, okay? It just felt like kind of like a Jerry Bruckheimer or Michael Bay movie for certain moments. And I don't hate those directors. I think those directors also get a lot of hate. I mean, they definitely made some movies that I don't like at all, but they've made some movies that I really enjoy. Oh, in case you guys are wondering what my thoughts are on James Gunn's and Zack Snyder's later movies, James Gunn, I don't like Guardians of the Galaxy. I've never finished it. I've tried putting it on a couple times. The first one, couldn't finish it. So, I wasn't into it. Maybe I'll love it if I watch it all, but... Zack Snyder, I love The Watchmen, but I haven't seen it in probably 9 years. So, but I remember loving it. I seen that at the drive-in when it first came out in high school. That was pretty badass. And I've only seen 300 once. I have it on Blu-ray. I remember liking it, but whatever. It wasn't a big deal to me. And I don't care about Justice League, Batman vs. Superman. I haven't seen the Zack Snyder cut. I haven't seen the original cut. Any of that stuff, I don't know. That stuff just doesn't interest me. Superman, Batman, heroes. It's just, I'm not into it. I don't hate it. I love that people loved it, but I'm not into it. Sorry. This review isn't going to be too long. I mean, I could talk forever, but there's not too much to say about this movie, honestly, for me. I kind of have that with almost all horror movies. Let's talk about horror reviews and stuff, because when I first started this channel, I thought I was going to be a horror movie review channel, like a horror channel, because the only channels that inspired me were the very first channels that I ever watched was Drum Dum's, Lee McCoy's, which I love, and he's mostly horror. But then I watched Stitched Together and Nostalgia Critic, and I think Cody Leach right around there. And Stitched Together is all horror. And Nostalgia Critic, I mean, he's not really too much horror, but I figured, okay, like, I'm gonna do horror movies, and I did a couple movies, and I just kind of realized why reviewing them in my writing process, there's not a lot to say about these movies, and the stuff there is to say, everyone's reviewed them. Like, everybody, including myself in the beginning, has reviewed Halloween. What else is there to fucking say aside from your personal experience, And I got really bored with reviewing horror movies really quickly. I felt like it kind of took a while. I practiced on all these Sopranos videos that I deleted because they were just shitty. But I got better into more like cult, crime drama, melodrama movies, because those are the movies that I really have fun talking about, that I have a lot to say about. And I feel like something interesting and unique and personal and meaningful. I like this movie a lot. I loved it as a kid. Now I just like it a lot. But I probably would have never made this review if I wasn't getting paid for it, for the Patreon request. It's rare for me to do horror reviews now. I think the last ones I did were the Hostel trilogy. But those had a lot. I had a lot to say. Those are like the perfect mix of I had very interesting movies to me, and there was a lot to say that's not just that scene was badass, When I was a kid, yeah, this movie was crazy and great, and I see some problems in it that I didn't notice as a kid. There's a lot of great stuff to this movie. It's not boring. It has a great pace. This is a completely different movie. Aside from the premise, it's a different movie, than the original. And that was great because I knew the original in and out. People go into a mall during the zombie apocalypse. And that's a great enough setup you don't need to know all the other stuff. And do I like the original more than I like the remake? Yes, I like the original more. They're both nostalgic for me, but I like the original more. I just do. You guys got to remember also, too, this is the second remake of the Dead franchise. Tom Savini remade the original Night of the Living Dead, which I like that movie a lot, his remake. And I love the original. And if you guys haven't seen that, you should check it out. The thing I like about this movie that's not in the original is that it has likable assholes. I mean, I like everybody in the original. They're all cool, like the military guys and the chick, and then the helicopter driver. I should remember their names. But I don't even remember any names from this movie aside from Andy, but I'll talk about that later. But the best characters in this movie to me, my favorite characters are Steve, the guy with the boat, and CJ. And CJ is the actor who plays him is Michael Kelly. I think this guy's a very underrated actor. He has a very small role in the last season or two of The Sopranos. He plays Agent Harris's sidekick. From what I remember, he only has one line. He's usually just standing there in a suit, the FBI. He's just standing there. But that's still my absolute favorite show of all time. So he was in The Sopranos. That's fucking badass. And he's also in House of Cards. I think his character's name is Doug, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen that show for a long time. House of Cards, I was thinking about that today, and God, House of Cards is so great. I want to rewatch it. And it was so praised when it came out, but then everything with Kevin Spacey, everybody was like, don't even talk about it because it's his show, and that sucks. Like, he's a star, but there's so many other great characters and actors in that show, and people just like, let's pretend it doesn't exist because of Kevin Spacey. And that sucks because it's a great show. And that guy, he's scary. This Michael Kelly, he's scary in that series. Great character, great performance. He's a great actor. He's also the dad, the violent stepdad, or the dad in a Chronicle. And he's in one of my favorite straight-to-DVD movies of all time, Carlito's Way, Rise to Power, the prequel to original Carlito's Way. I love that movie. I was watching that the other day, and I was like, wait, who is this guy? And I looked it up on IMDb, and oh, that's CJ. I just watched him in Dawn of the Dead. That's crazy. And I started looking him up, and I was like, God, this guy's such a great actor. And I love his character. Like, he's an asshole. He's a hard ass. Maybe I'm an asshole, and I'm a hard ass too. Not as much of an asshole as him. I think more of a hard ass. I'm more of a hard ass. He's not a bad guy. He doesn't do anything evil. He just doesn't want to die. And then he kind of wins over the cast, and he dies honorably. He gets some redemption at the end. It's kind of sad, but then it's kind of funny. And I love everything with CJ. And I just think Michael Kelly is a very underrated actor. And Steve, he's just like a likable douchebag, He's a likable asshole douchebag. And he's funny.
Why does he stay here while I go on the suicide mission to rescue Terry's already dead girlfriend?
Fuck you, man.
I like Andy and his friendship with Ving Rhames, but the only reason why I remember Andy's name is because it's on his building, which is a gun shop, which got me thinking, how the fuck do the people at the mall have so many bullets? They never even mention saving or counting bullets. Once I thought about it, it started to drive me crazy. In the original movie, there was a gun shop in the mall, so they were covered, but they never even mention bullets, and they only have one sentence on food. About food, and it's saying we have more than enough food, or it's something along those lines. I mean, how much food can they really have? Maybe a couple months, at most a year or two tops, at most. But they're acting like we're set for life here. And then they still get tired. But the point is that I don't want to die in this mall. It was fun for a bit, but let's get the fuck out of here. And they kind of, I mean, in the beginning, it's like, yeah, they're set for a couple months or a year tops. How much food can they really have? How many bullets? Nobody comes in with bags of bullets. Maybe is there when the second truck of the other people come in? Do they have bullets? I might have missed that, but I really don't. They might have, but I don't know. But yeah, they never talk about bullets or food. Like in This Is the End with Seth Rogen. That is very important in that movie. Like, we only have a limited amount of food and we need to ration it. This is exactly how much food we have. And that was great. That's what this fucking movie needed. They need to talk about the food and the water because that is so precious. They can't live without food or water. How long will the electricity last, really? Like, the people working at the place, they left it on, and their electricity is gonna go out, right? Like, I mean, I don't know electricity too much, but I know people run it. It just doesn't run. You have to pay for electricity. But how long could it last, really? And then you're gonna be stuck with candles and flashlight batteries. I can understand they would have batteries and candles there. But I want this movie, like, them to talk about them. That would have been great if the electricity ran out. So then they're just in a dark mall. But then it's not visually exciting or cool enough for people. But that's scarier to me if they were just in the mall was just pitch black all day. They covered up the windows. There's like the glass doors so zombies won't come in. So it's just pitch black. And all they have is their flashlights. That would have been badass. But they don't even mention electricity. When I watch apocalypse, end of the world type of movies, this is the stuff that needs to be talked about. And it just isn't, which is kind of an insult to my intelligence. I get it. It's an action horror zombie movie, and most people just want to see zombie kills and then maybe a few sad deaths. And, but I want both. And that's when, I start to think like, okay, this is a good movie, but it's not a great movie. Like, come on, like you're kind of insulting my intelligence with this stuff, and it gets me too much in my head, you know? And as a screenwriter, this is like an apocalypse movie. You got to think about this stuff, and then it just glosses over it, and that was really frustrating to me. But like, if you get too much into it, you know. Okay, this movie is about emotions and death / action over logic. There's a long scene about the dad dying and the stupid dead baby, which I don't believe for 1 second that no one would check on Mekhi Phifer's girlfriend and his pregnant wife's character. They would have to think like, why is he hiding her? And like, at least go check on her because she could be infected. They know that the bite infects them. I just don't like Mekhi Phifer's character or his performance. I don't like either. And I think Mekhi Phifer is a great movie. He's a star of like the second star in one of my favorite movies of all time, O. And he's so great in that movie. I think he's amazing, and I know he can do a great performance. But I just don't like his character. I don't like anything about it, and I just don't care about anything. Like, the zombie baby is cool the first time you see it, and it's like cool on paper, but it's like, whatever, dude, a zombie baby, and then they cut away from killing it. It's like, whatever, it's whatever. The rest of the characters are pretty good. The only one I really like is CJ, but the rest are okay. They're okay. I don't love them, but they're okay. Michael is really smart, and I like that he's so upfront about killing the dad, but I felt that scene was trying too hard to be sentimental and sad. They've been in this movie for like 2 minutes. I'm not going to feel sad for them. Sorry, but hurry up, kill them, and count your bullets, and count your food, okay? That's what I want to see. I don't care about these people. Like, they gave a good enough performance, but I just don't care. What's their names again? They've been in the movie for 2 minutes. Who cares? In the original movie, the mall seemed fun. I really loved how the mall looked and just the location. I don't like the mall in this movie, and that's a big thing. That's something I always noticed in this movie, was I don't like the mall in this movie. And I don't like the lighting. Something about the lighting feels realistic, but then it also feels fake. Best thing about this movie to me, aside from making the zombies fast, is which this isn't the first movie. The first one is like 28 Days Later, which I saw in theaters too. Fuck, that movie's badass. But I like the sequel better, to be honest. 28 weeks later, I think that was better. But the best thing about this movie is that they brought in a fucking chainsaw. I was obsessed with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I thought chainsaws were the greatest fucking weapons of all time. And when they had that chainsaw, Oh my god. But then the music choice in this movie is the best thing about this movie. The Johnny Cash, that jazz rendition of Down with the Sickness, then Jim Carroll. I love Jim Carroll, the People Who Died. All those lines, because I grew up with the Basketball Diaries and I read that book as a kid. So that song is really important to me. And if you watch the Basketball Diaries, that's the song People Who Died, who's at the end credits of this movie. And yeah, like if you know that, you know, like yeah, I love that song. I love Jim Carroll. But that music montage with the Down with the Sickness cover, that's amazing. That's a great editing, and I love seeing Steve have sex with that hot chick. She is so hot. I love her, and she's funny too. Like when the other girl is like, "Come here, Chips. Where's my dog?" And then she's mimicking her, like, "Come here, Chips." Like so goddamn annoying. I don't know. She was just funny, and she's hot. But then when the chainsaw comes accidentally, when the car's being revved, the chainsaw comes, just hits her, and just real quick, just right. That was the time in the theater. I was like, "Oh God!" Like I thought I was gonna. I couldn't even come back then, and I thought I was gonna fucking jizz in my pants. It was, oh my God, I loved it so much. I remember that it was so visceral seeing that in theaters, man. It was great. It was perfect. The best death of the movie is that chainsaw going into her. So yeah, everyone dies at the end at the end of this movie. The island, you think it's gonna be a happy ending, and but the island is filled with zombies, and pretty sure they all die. And we don't have a sequel. That would have been a great sequel. Jason from Sinister Cinema Reviews, he did a review on this movie, and he was saying they should have done the sequel to this, Day of the Dead, but have it with like Ving Rhames and Sarah Polley. That would have been a great sequel. Yeah, they had it made at the mall. I mean, they would have run out of food and electricity realistically, but they could have stayed there for a little bit. I mean, yeah, but how they made it seem is like we have endless bullets and we have endless food and we could stay here forever, but we don't want to because we don't want to die here. It's like, well, do you want to die in a hot, sticky island with no bed? I don't know. I get it. Like they're like, it's just, it does. I can understand. It's just like, dude, I gotta get out of here. I can understand that cabin fever. They're getting cabin fever, but they die. Everybody dies. Yeah, it looks like they all die. And when they're in the boat, there's the zombie head inside the cooler. Who the fuck put that zombie head in that cooler? Why would they put the head in there? It doesn't make any sense to me. And why wouldn't anybody steal that boat? The boat is there, and zombies or somebody was obviously on that boat that wasn't Steve, who wasn't the owner. So why isn't the boat still there? Yeah, those two things when I was rewatching it, but still a great, really badass ending with a badass song to a badass movie. Yeah, it's a really fun movie. Like I said, I have more problems with this movie than I did as a kid. But it's still really fun. It's really nostalgic, and it's a badass movie. And thank you, Gunnel, for being a patron. I really appreciate it, man. You're in the Dirk Diggler phase, so this is not your only review. You can get one more if you want to do it together, like FaceTime. If not, just tell me the next movie. It's gonna take me a little time because I got a few more Patreon requests to knock out, and then I'm gonna take a bit of time off of making videos to do some screenwriting because I've been kind of holding back on that. Hopefully I get more patrons because I really appreciate it. I've been having problems with AdSense and monetizing my videos. They've been fucking me out of my money. They've been having problems with the website for months, and I haven't got any money from my monetization, and I'm starting to get worried. So this is my only income from these videos right as of now. So yeah, if you guys want to see me review any movie, just become a patron. Hope you like this review, Gunnel. Like I said, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate everybody who watches my videos. Everybody who leaves a positive comment. I've been getting a lot of comments lately. It's just like, dude, leave me alone. I don't care. I don't care about what you think. Like one sentence, you gave me a whole paragraph about what I said on one sentence. Just leave me alone. It's like gives me a notification at work, and I'm like, what? And then I'm in my head. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, badass movie, really fun. Not my favorite remake of all time. Not my favorite zombie movie of all time, but there's so many great remake zombie movies, and yeah, I really like this movie. I don't love it. I have nostalgic love for it, but I guess I do have love for it. Yeah, I do have a lot of love for it, but yeah, Dawn of the Dead remake. Thanks for watching. Keep watching. You guys know how YouTube works. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and you can follow me on Instagram at cinemajunkies_. Don't forget the underscore.